Okay, we're doing a thing.
We're doing it.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. We're doing a Facebook Live thing. If you're on my page, then you already know that I'm Cynthia Changyit Levin, but you may not know my cousin, Michelle Hoberman. And we're going to start this whole thing. We're going to talk about Shot at Life, but I do want to say for anybody watching this that we are family and we are fully vaccinated from COVID. So that's why we are unmasked, because we are being careful. And yay, this is my first day of being fully vaccinated, so I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited that you're spending time with me during this day, special day.
So what happened is that Michelle called me up or messaged me a week or so ago and mentioned that she was interested in the work that I do with Shot at Life. That she said, can you send me a website to make donation and find out how to get more involved? And that was such a great time to do it, because this month is a campaign called Advocate to Vaccinate, where all of us Shot at Life champions around the country are trying to drum up more attention for our members of Congress during this time when the United States budget is being debated and talked about, to make sure that they are thinking about global vaccines along with all the things that we have to fund in a government. Yes. So this is a great time to talk about it. I thought that we could just kind of interview each other, and maybe some people would tune in.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you, well, maybe we should talk about what SHOT is first.
Perfect.
Okay. I don't have the papers in front of me, but that's part of being a champion and advocate, is just being able to say in plain words what something is. So Shot at Life is part of the United Nations Foundation, and it is the part that educates and empowers American citizens, not just citizens, anybody who's in the U.S., like you and me, to talk to Congress, to tell them why global vaccines are one of the most cost-effective investments that our government can make to protect children in middle and low-income countries around the world. So that's it in a nutshell.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that I got and why I wanted to be involved is because, well, you sent me a birthday present.
I do that sometimes. Yeah.
And in it was a Shot for Life.
Oh, yeah. Like I made a donation.
You made a donation. Yeah. And it, at that moment, it hit me like, oh my gosh, how fortunate are we that we are vaccinated. Our kids are vaccinated for the most part. They don't have the COVID shot yet. The two don't. But
both of us have kids that are over 16 and under 16.
Yes. So, but how fortunate are we that we can prevent polio and measles and pneumonia and rotavirus, all the things that Shot at Life does for the underprivileged. We have the ability to have it at our fingertips, and it's just, it is safety and health and comfort and health is something that you can't put a price on. And there are all of these families around the world that are suffering because their children are dying of things like rotavirus, diarrhea.
Yep.
That is not something that a mother or family should ever have to lose a child to. And so just doing the research, it to me hit me as like a common sense thing to just jump into, because I don't see the controversy in not wanting your under 5-year-old to die of rotavirus.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
You're a mom of 3, so you've seen a lot of diarrhea.
I've seen a lot of diarrhea. I've seen a lot of diarrhea, but how blessed are we that we have the ability to fix it right here.
Absolutely.
They can't in these underprivileged areas.
I mean, just thinking about the diarrhea part of it, like I'm sitting here with like a bottle of water in my hand because it's actually we just had snow, but
A week
now,
ago.
now it's like going to be 80 degrees and it's a little warm out here. But I'm just sitting here with a bottle of clean water in my hand, and that, for us, rotavirus isn't a big deal here because we have plenty of clean water to give our kids and keep them hydrated and things like that. But without that simple access to clean water, that's why it becomes such a big deal. And a very, very cheap vaccine can prevent that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
But that's where I was. Let's see, my oldest daughter is like 17 now, so about 15 years ago, like that's what I was contemplating, and starting to get involved in groups that were teaching me how to advocate and speak to Congress about that. And then 10 years ago is when Shot at Life was actually founded and had their first summit, and I'm so grateful that they invited me up there. Yeah, most of us who have been in for 10 years now can't believe that it has been 10 years, because we were all getting together to talk about these diseases that we were so familiar with talking about, as far as just like, okay, we got to get these vaccines in for our kids. And it never once occurred to me, and I don't think it did to anybody else in the room, that 10 years later, the work that I do is actually critical in ending a literal pandemic.
yes,
Because we've named these 4 diseases that Shot at Life works on, and the reason that they do is that we have tried and true effective vaccines that are out in the world, and then comes along COVID, and very rapidly we now have one for that, and it would be well, there's 2 things on that. Shot at Life does get a bit involved in talking about vaccine access. We support Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Actually, it said Gavi. I keep saying it wrong. Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations. And they are the people spearheading the effort to get other nations to donate their excess COVID doses to low-income countries. So being involved in that has given me an immense sense of purpose during this time. Michelle and I have talked a lot in the past year about how sometimes we felt like we were very much spinning our wheels.
absolutely.
Or kind of powerless, or
This is something we can grab onto that
Yeah.
is concrete. It's proven. There is no rhyme or reason any child should be affected by polio,
Yep.
measles.
And what we were talking about this the other day, that not only is it, COVID a terrible thing that's taking lives there, but the disruption that it's causing in these routine immunizations.
Absolutely. In the
Is-
routine care and access to have people come in and give the vaccines.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to even be, the biggest fan of new vaccines. You can just look at the really old ones,
Right.
and be like, man, we cannot get those where they need to go. And so this year we're asking for a bit more help and increased funding in those areas. Because what happens is we spend money in our government
Yes.
to help with these problems, but when there's like a flare-up or something, if we don't have the foresight to spend a little bit more, then we have a huge problem.
And it costs
And
us
costs a lot more.
so much
Yeah.
in lives and in funds.
Yeah. So another thing going on this week is, this is Advocate to Vaccinate month, but tomorrow is a call-in event. So that means that we're going to be asking all of the Shot at Life volunteers to rally the people that we know to call
All
in.
representatives.
Yeah. So you've done that before.
I have with you.
Yeah. And what's that
Being-
like?
So the first time I was pretty nervous. My voice was shaky on the call. I know it. But second time was easier. Third time, even easier. Even though I majored in public relations. I am not a public speaker, and calling your representative can be, intimidating sometimes.
And when you called, who was on the other end of that call?
A voicemail.
Most,
I got a
most of the time it's a voicemail.
I got voicemails.
Yeah.
And I left messages, and I also wrote notes.
Yep.
Because sometimes you just have to do multiple things, multiple modes of communication in order to get your point across.
Yep.
And this is really important. This is really, really important. So, would you like to go over an idea of what you would say to your representative?
Yep. And I will. This is a wonderful time to point out that if you volunteer with Shot at Life, even if you're not an official volunteer, you can go to the website at Shot at Life, not the @ symbol. It's SHOTATLIFE.org, which is where I sent Michelle when she was asking for information. And they have such wonderful, clear information that you can act or respond or whatever. And every time I'm getting ready to do something with Shot at Life, if I want to call my legislator, there'll be a great sheet like that that says how to call your legislator. And if I want to go to Capitol Hill, which I've done multiple occasions for Shot at Life, or talk to my members in district or whatever, there's Capitol Hill talking points, and there's all these great bullet points that kind of get you up to speed with whatever the current information is, because we can't know off the top of our head what all the recent data is. We don't go out and do the data collection. Right. That doesn't make any sense.
But there are people who do.
Yes. So there's a number, and we'll probably use your phone because my phone is doing the Facebook Live right now.
Perfect.
There's a number to call, and I'll say it out loud. It's 202-902-6614. And that is a number that lets Shot at Life track our efforts so they know how many people are calling on behalf of that. If you don't know who your representative or senators are, you can just Google find my rep or find my members of Congress, and if you put your zip code and address in, you can find that. I know that you know your people.
I know my people.
Who are your people?
Okay, so I call Senator Roy Blunt. Mm-hmm. I call Josh Hawley, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And I'm missing.
Representative
Claire McCaskill. No.
Nope.
Oh God. Oh
Wagner.
God. Wagner.
Ann Wagner.
Yes.
See, this happens. It's like we just have to look it up, and this is part of it, is like getting to know who actually represents you. And it doesn't matter if you voted for them or not; they still represent you. I do want to take just a moment to talk about why Wagner and Blunt in particular are really important.
Please.
Because you might not have known this, but money for vaccinations comes from two different kind of pots of money. There's the state, I'm pausing because we always call it SFOPS, but normal people don't call it SFOPS. It's the State Foreign Operations Committee, and they are handling like the global funding for a lot of these global programs. And then CDC money comes from the labor, people call it labor HHS, it's Labor, Health, and Human Services. So Blunt is really important because he sits on the Appropriations Committee. He's like a budget guy. So a lot of people are lobbying him and putting their input in, but we're his constituents, so we have like a direct line to him. And he just so happens on the Appropriations Committee, he sits on the Labor HHS Committee, and he sits on the State and Foreign Operations Committee.
He is an important man.
Yeah, and I'm here to say that I've been working with his office for many years now, and he gets it. He knows that global health is very important to our economies, to alleviate human suffering. But he does need to hear from us because there are a lot of other influence in Washington that want money for other things. Wagner, in February of this year, was appointed to be the vice-ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
Okay.
So she's pretty important as well in these decisions. So this paper has a lot of numbers on it for what we actually want, but do trust that we are, as champions, like I'm contacting their office with the list of numbers that's really kind of complicated. So this is like all we have to say.
Okay.
So do you want to try first? You want me to go first, or?
Okay, will you go first just for
I
my...
can, yeah. But what I will do is I'll do it a little differently so that you can read it straight from there.
Okay.
Thank you for taking part in Shot at Life advocacy effort. You will be connected to the Capitol Hill switchboard, or you will either enter 1 for the Senate and 2 for the House, then your zip code to be connected, or you may be connected to the operator directly, where you'll need to inform the person who answers which office you want to call.
Well, we don't know.
You can call back 3 different times to be connected with your entire congressional delegation. Thank you again for being a champion for Shot at Life.
Please enter your 5-digit zip code using your phone's keypad now.
Okay, you can't see, but maybe you can hear, I don't know. I pressed pound. Oh. So if I actually talk to somebody in the office, I'm going to take it off of mute because that's actually kind of illegal to do.
Thank you for calling the United States Capitol.
But that's
To be
fine.
connected.
Could you please repeat that?
Senator Roy Blunt.
Could you please repeat that?
Senator Roy Blunt.
To be connected to your senator's office, press or say 1.
Oh.
To be connected to your...
Aren't you glad we're doing this for you so you know how to do it?
You have reached
I am.
the United States.
Could you please repeat that?
Oh, does it like us to talk?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your selection. Let's try again. You have reached the United States Senate. Please speak your state or enter your zip code.
Missouri.
You have entered Missouri. If this is correct, press or say 1. If not, press or say 1 for Senator Roy Blunt. Press or say...
Okay. Hi, I'm a constituent. I'd like to leave a message for the senator. Sure. I'm calling about global immunization programs. I feel really strongly that about the fact that COVID has disrupted access to a lot of the infectious disease killers of children around the world. And so I would like him to support global vaccines in the fiscal year 22 bill, and especially $290 million for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and $134 million for UNICEF. Sure. My zip code is 63017. Okay, thanks a lot. There we go. You want to disinfect that? It's like I'm not used to like using people's stuff. I was thinking about that. I'm like, no. That's the whole point. We're vaccinated.
That's funny.
It's like been a year of habits, you know,
Yeah.
and it's hard to break some of those thoughts. I'm like, am I doing something dangerous by speaking on this phone? We're here laughing at each other
I
and
know.
sharing germs.
Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Thank you for that. That brings that gives me a lot of ideas to think about. And before, I'm actually going to take that and modify it so that it's my words also, if that's cool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you wanted to do one and just read straight off of here, like I gave some numbers just to make it a little bit different, but there are, what this says on here is just they ask them to support global health systems like USAID, UNICEF, Gavi, and the CDC, that it's important, and they just like list them.
Okay.
So, do you want to make a call?
I do, but privately.
Okay, that's fine. I just also told everybody my zip code. Oh. Anyway. So this is really excellent. Thanks for spending some time.
Thanks for spending the time with me and really exampling for me what to do. How often would you make phone calls?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I call almost every day.
Every day? On different issues?
Sometimes, but when something is really important going on, I will call about the same issue. And sometimes to spice it up, I'll call the local office instead of DC.
Oh, really?
And when on really high news days, when people are very riled up about things, sometimes it can clog things up, and they'll say that they aren't even taking messages. And so for Roy Blunt, I might call the St. Louis office, and if that's busy, you can call Cape Girardeau. They're never busy.
Oh.
Yeah, they're just
that's good to
smaller
know.
community. And, but all of those calls have equal weight. And even if you're leaving a message, there's still somebody taking it down to...
Do they tally them? Like,
yeah.
What is the process of this? Because that's where I wonder sometimes who gets my message. And I understand that calling every day now, I understand that calling every day is a pretty big must, actually, that I didn't know before, so thank you. But yeah, who's on the other side really taking all of that, and is it
does
data-driven?
depend a little bit upon the office, but I've spoken to enough interns and people who have worked in congressional offices that usually the person picking up the phone is not necessarily somebody who's working on policy. It's almost never going to be the member of Congress themselves, but usually it's an admin who's taking things and literally tallying up. Like, there's, this global health. I mean, what else is big right now?
Other than vaccines?
Yeah, it could be vaccines. Could be immigration.
Yep. And
gun violence.
Yeah. And I'm drawing. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like one of those things that
Global warming.
Yeah.
That's what
Climate.
I was thinking.
Climate. Yeah.
Climate.
If you have 10 people that are calling every day, then that actually will make a tick. It'll be like, oh, people are caring in your area. I will also say this about calling every day is this is something that I like to do at the beginning of the day, because I don't know what the heck is going to happen in the world, but I know if that's done, that's something I can feel really good about myself, and it only takes a few minutes. I normally don't go through like a campaign thing like that, so I call the number directly.
Okay.
And it's a lot faster.
Okay.
But in this case, this really helps Shot at Life know how many people have called.
That's wonderful.
Helps them know how effective they are.
Thank you for teaching me today.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'd love to be asked, and yeah.
You are such a source of knowledge, and I'm just so grateful.
Well, it's very fun, and this is like my first time that I've sat this close to somebody without a mask. That's not my husband. I mean, right. And my children. So, bye everybody.
Bye.